Hey Sainers, welcome back to the Saints TV YouTube channel. Bit of a random video this week. I went down a rabbit hole. Obviously, we're 3 or 4 weeks out from when silly season kicks in, although it's going to start kicking in anyway in the next probably week or two, let's be honest. And it got me thinking about not like this year's trades, but like some of the ridiculous ones that maybe we forgot about, or maybe, maybe once upon a time we actually believed they could be a possibility. And kind of in hindsight, you think about it, you're like, that was never actually happening. I can't believe I got excited about that. So I'm looking at some of the big what ifs, the big BS trade rumors. Obviously, most of them are BS. Some of them are true, but most of the time they're not that accurate. And I was trying to go deep in the archives. I'm trying to find articles and, what could have been if it was even true. And, if there's any that jump out to you outside of this video, I picked like 4 or 5 that I can think of. Put them in the comments. I think this will be a bit of fun and good to reminisce on some of the more ridiculous pieces of news that's been put out there. So let's go straight into it. This is the first one this is the one that I think about the most, honestly. Brendan Fevola. Do people remember in 2009 where, he obviously had a lot of troubles. He was out on the market and supposedly, we were looking at sending Luke Ball their way for Brendan Fevola. I remember sitting in my childhood home and I saw it on the website and I thought, this is it. Let's get Fev. I love Fev. He was my favorite player at Carlton. And despite all of his off-field antics, I was like, this guy's he's a born goal kicker. And with him and Rewalt and Cozzy, I mean, look at the date of this. This is off-season 2009. We just lost a grand final. It could have been something. I remember... losing Luke Ball for Brendan Fevola, not bad. He did all right when he went to Brisbane anyway, although his price tag was quite high in the end. But this was the first one that when I thought of doing this video, this was the one I thought of the most, because it's one that not many people remember. It was maybe a week or two where we were pretty strongly linked to him, and then it just didn't happen, right? Maybe it was never going to happen, but I thought he had a lot of mates at St Kilda. He had strong ties to St Kilda. There was a chance we could actually pull this off. If we had pulled off Fev, and we had Fev and Rewalt and Cozzy going into 2010, could things have been different? I don't know. Again, one of those ones where it's kind of left of field. You don't remember it, but this was one that weirdly stands out to me because I loved Fev, and it would have been awesome to see him at St Kilda. I remember... even back then I couldn't find any, but like photos of him in a Saints Guernsey, like photoshopped or whatever back then in 2009. And as bad as they are photoshopped, you still look at it and go, yep, that suits him. He should be a Sainer, But anyway, moving on from Fev. This one, May 1st, 2017, mid-season. And apparently, imagine coming out on news.com.au and saying Nat Fyfe agrees multi-million-dollar deal with St Kilda. A Perth radio station has claimed Brownlow medalist Nat Fyfe has agreed a multi-million-dollar deal with St Kilda for next season. The Dockers have declined to comment, and who was it? Brad Fitzgerald. I know there's been a bit of noise early in the season about Nat Fyfe, and he will sign on again with the Dockers. I have on extremely good authority that not only is there an offer on the table for St Kilda, but the offer is worth $1.5 million a season. And as far as legally wise, it's virtually accepted. He can't sign it yet, but it's basically a done deal, and he is going to St Kilda. I can't name names, but this has come from a high-ranking board member of St Kilda. And then someone claimed it to be rubbish, and we're 7 years later, and there we go. So that was the one that jumped out a fair bit. And you know what the weird thing is? A couple of these players we still get linked to, and I think you know where I'm going with this, but we still get linked to some of these players. It's like, have we not grown out of this like Nat Fyfe? Some people were still saying, do we go for him in 2022, 2023? It's like, I think he's going to retire at Fremantle, mate. I don't think this is going to be... I don't think it's worth getting him. And then this was another one that I found. Nat Fyfe will captain St Kilda in 2018. Former St Kilda forward Justin Kajitsky believes Fremantle gun Nat Fyfe will move east to become captain of the Saints. I reckon Fyfe was a bit unhappy about not being named captain last year after his Brownlow. St Kilda will make a big play for that sort of player. The Saints will be coming into an era where the middle tier players are playing really well. That backfired again as well. Hurts when you go back in the archives and you see all of this. But imagine waking up now and seeing a headline of, a Brownlow medalist, and it's going to say he's going to captain St Kilda next season. Imagine that. I wonder what I was thinking in this exact moment in 2016. I'm glad Saints TV wasn't invented back then, because that would have put it into a different stratosphere. Like, it would have gone nuts. I don't know why Dusty's there. We probably were linked to Dusty as well. There we go. Richmond star Dustin Martin also linked to a move to St Kilda with his contract expiring at the end of 2017. I hadn't gone too deep into the Dusty Martin archives because he's retiring now, so it doesn't really matter. But imagine pulling off Dusty and Nat Fyfe in the same offseason. That was never... Is that actually something... Who wrote this? Michael Oxford, I need to talk to you. I want to know where you got this information. Now, this is the one that people talk about still to this day. Saints to use top AFL pick for Dylan Shield. And this was back in October 2018. We're prepared to put our prized first round pick, which was, I think at the time, pick 4, to secure Dylan Shield. And obviously Hawthorn, Essendon and Carlton were all looking at it. And apparently we were potentially the front runners at the time because we had pick 4 and that was very lucrative. Dean Kent was also nominated for St Kilda, so there was big things happening in this offseason. Dan Hanbury was another one that nominated St Kilda in this offseason. So that didn't go through, but what I did find was a post that I had prepped. October 1st, 2018. Look at that for Photoshop. That takes me back. Trade news. Sam McClure on NAB Trade Radio. Pick 4 is definitely on the table from St Kilda for Dylan Shield. And I remember, I think I might have followed up. All assets, including pick 4 on the table, same thing. Make it happen. Trade Gresham for Dylan Shield. Come, this. What is this one? Fair to say Maroon 5 are getting a bit carried away with the Dylan Shield trade news. Maroon 5, she will be loved. She'll be... Oh, my Lord. I knew we were going to find some dark things going back in time in this one, Saners, but we found some very, very dark things. That is not a piece of content that I am proud of. I didn't even look at this one, to be honest. Andrew Gaff. Remember that time? Andrew Gaff being linked to Saints? Moving on. Nonetheless, moving on. This was a big one. And this is on the St Kilda website still to this day. November 17, 2008. St Kilda skipper Nick Riewoldt backs club plans to recruit Ben Cousins. Now imagine a time where we have Ben Cousins running around in the 2009 and 10 grand finals. How does that make you feel? It's an interesting one to think of. St Kilda captain Nick Riewoldt has thrown his support behind the push to bring former West Coast champion Ben Cousins to the Saints. Speaking on the first day of St Kilda's pre-season at Dendy Park, Brighton, Riewoldt was enthusiastic about the possibility of having Cousins as a teammate. It would excite anyone if he could come back to the heights that he was. He's a Brownlow medalist and a premiership player. We all hope he can get back to that so naturally you'd want to play with him than against him. This was a big one. Because I think there was us, obviously Richmond, that he eventually went to. I don't know if he ever toured Moorabbin. I don't know if it went that far. But this was one where it was like, the risk is great, but the reward is really great. And I think this one probably was a realistic one. We could have gotten him, obviously, because he wasn't at a club. His reputation was tarnished. And someone had to put out a lifeline for him, basically. And we were looking at it. So that was on November 17, 2008. And then you go to the next day. And then we come out and we release a statement. And it's Saints pleased for Cousins. St Kilda's brief statement on former West Coast star says plenty about their intention to secure his services. Guess whose body that is? Just first of all, I know straight away whose body that is. Whose body is that? I'll give you 2 seconds. That's definitely Luke Ball. That is 100% Luke Ball. Correct me if I'm wrong. No way that is not him. It's the way Luke Ball was running and how he holds the footy. I'm weird like that. I can tell just by like the way they're holding the footy and their like the way their legs are running. I can tell that that's Luke Ball. Anyway, fun fact. Bit of a loose video, but why not? St Kilda has released a statement saying the club is pleased. Ben Cousins is given the all clear to resume his AFL career. So the 30-year-old is now free to enter the NAB draft on November 29 or the preseason draft on December 16, but he and any club which drafts him will have to satisfy a stringent drug testing regime, obviously. So they've gone on to say, so that was Michael Voss, and that was Brisbane. So yeah, there was a number of clubs looking at it. 2 members of the Saints board, as well as coach Ross Lyon, Chief Executive Archie Fraser, and football manager Matthew Drain dined with Cousins and his manager, Ricky Nixon. Good old Ricky Nixon. I think he's committed to playing football, and I think he understands that one more hiccup and it will all be over. So, Ben Cousins, that was a big one. And then a week later, boom, we say no to Ben Cousins. Ben Cousins' hopes of an AFL comeback have received a major setback, with St Kilda becoming the latest club to decide against recruiting the fallen star. It was the end of a 5-month process for the Saints, who consulted their players, sponsors and members on the controversial topic of whether to recruit Cousins. We owed it to ourselves to undertake a rigorous and thorough review and have now made our decision. This is the decision that we didn't take lightly, and we still believe that for the right club, Ben could well be a great opportunity. So obviously Richmond got him in the end, and that was history. That was history. That was that 1 week where we thought we might get Ben Cousins. And then fast forward to the end of 2009 or 10 or whenever it was, and we get Andrew Lovett. And then, yeah, we took a risk there. And did that work? No. I dare say Ben Cousins would have actually played football for St Kilda. But anyway. And this one, obviously, was a couple of years ago, the most recent one. Jordan De Goey. I remember doing about 5 or 6 videos of, the chance that he could actually come to St Kilda. And for the majority of it, based on my sources, it was actually a possibility. But this one, even you go back before this time, you go back years before this, we were linked to him. I dare say people will link us to him again somehow with his injuries and whether he can even play football for Collingwood at the standard that he's played. But these are the ones that, they just pop up every now and then. So that's the one that I'll end the video on. But if you go back to Fev, you go back to Fife, Shield, you've got Ben Cousins. Imagine if any of these came off, like what could have been, And I know I'm missing some that were there, like even Dusty. I don't know if there was like if I go Dustin Martin trade to St Kilda, like what pops up? I mean, we're always in the hunt and they always put us in there. He's retired now and obviously is one of the greatest to ever play it. But I don't think anything has popped up from... No. So those are the ones. If you think of any Sainers that are worth putting in the comments, please do. I kind of just went down a rabbit hole and felt like talking about it because we talk about all the legitimate ones or what we think is legitimate, let's put it that way. And it just got me thinking of, as a kid growing up and how like there wasn't trade radio and then you'd find little bits and bobs and you don't really think much of it. And then after it happens or it doesn't happen, you think, shit, what if that happened? What if we had Fev and Ben Cousins in the 2009 grand final? That could have been a possibility. Based on these articles, it could have been a possibility. So, put in the comments if there was any other ones that I missed, any funny ones or ones that were just so outrageous they were never going to happen. I don't know if we were ever linked to... I feel like we're linked to every Brownlow medalist under the sun, maybe 8 years too late. So whoever wins the Brownlow this year, Bont, will probably be linked to him in about 8 years' time when he's considering retirement. So... yeah, hopefully enjoyed this random video, Sainers. A bit of fun one. It's been a tough week after the loss, but I thought I'd delve into the old trade archives, or trade BS archives, if you will. And hopefully enjoyed it. So please like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe as well. Let's hit 12K as soon as we can. Instagram at Saints TV Pod. We're on Twitter as well, or X, Saints TV Pod, and TikTok, Saints TV. TikTok, I believe. So thanks again, Saners. Take care. And as always, go you mighty Saners. See you guys.